Hi guys, welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and I'm Jessica. I just want to let you know that I'm a little low energy today. I got hit with a bit of fatigue before I started filming. Chronic illness live, woo! But I don't really want to talk about that. This video, I just want to let you know if I seem a little less energy, it's just that, and I apologize beforehand. So this week was kind of a busy week. A lot of things with work going on. I had two family birthdays, so I didn't read as much as I would have liked, but I did read great ones. They were all pretty much 5 stars, and I'll get to the pretty much in a second. But the first book I want to talk about is The Games We Play. So this is an erotic novella, dark romance, which is a first for me. So I'm dipping my toe into dark romance, and I think I picked a pretty good one to start with. This was great. I had a lot of fun. I gave it 5 stars. I think just last night, actually, I recommended it to two of my best friends, and I was like, "Oh, you have to read it. This was interesting." So and it's pretty new too. A new release. How about that? Look at me trying to be current. Yeah, it's not gonna last. So this one was a lot of fun. It follows a faceless streamer. His handle's Joker, and he's interviewed by a woman named Quinlan, I think Quinlan, for an online magazine. They hit it off, a lot of chemistry, and they decide to have some fun, as consenting adults would too. So it was pretty spicy. The first scene I didn't particularly care for. I'm not really into pet play personally, but that's just me. There's no kink shaming on this channel. You do you. It's fine. Um, it doesn't last very long, so if you do like pet play, sorry, it doesn't last very long. But if you don't, like me, it doesn't last very long. And I think the other scenes are pretty spicy. I personally really enjoy the one in the nightclub office. That was probably my favorite in this. It is a novella, so it took about, I want to say, an hour and a half for me to finish. And I just really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It kind of makes me want to dip my toe a little bit more into dark romance. I am a bit cautious because all of the booktubers that I follow, which are amazing, they do read dark romance, and there seems to be a lot of rape involved in that. And that's not for me. I don't like reading that in my romance novels personally. It's a trigger for me, so I think I'm going to be a little cautious, but I would like to sprinkle dark romance into this channel every once in a while. It did make me want to read the second in the series. I believe this is beginning of the One Night series, so I am curious about the second one. So again, that was a lot of fun. Okay, 5 stars. So this one is the only 4 star this week, and it's only 4 stars because it's a second in a duet. And with my 5 stars, I like to recommend them to people to get into the genre or into a certain author. And how can you do that with a duet? I would recommend both the books, yes. So that's the only reason it's 4 stars. But Crooked Kingdom was amazing. I really loved it. It was fantastic. So it picks up right after the first book, where the crows are betrayed by the man that hired them for the heist, and that man grabbed Inej. So Kez, in his very very controlled, cold way, is furious, and he wants Inej back at all costs. I mean, they all do, but he has this little special interest in that. So it follows them basically, and it's this fantastic mental heist chess game between Kez and the bad guy. And there's so many twists and turns, and the tension was high, and she didn't cut her tension. We rode out the tension, and that was exactly what I wanted. This was what I wanted for the first one. It was so great. And in this book, I understand why Inej is so loved, because this was her book. She shined in this one. Her POV was fantastic. You really get a sense of who she really is. Even the little flashbacks happened at more of a lull point. So I like the flashbacks. We get to learn more about our lovable cast of misfits during it. So that was great. And Nina and Matthias, making me feel feels in my dark, angry place. That was so good. And it's a lot of fun. This was fantastic. I really love this one. So that was wonderful. This poor guy. Okay, so last week I tried to get through all the books that I forgot. So I tend to start reading a book, if I put it down, I forget about it. It has nothing to do with the book itself. It's just me. And this poor guy got forgotten twice because I forgot about it after I put it down, and then I forgot to put it in the pile of forgotten books that I read last week. But please don't take that as a comment on this book, because it is a 5 stars and I am in love with it, and it's a beginning of a series and I want them all. Soulless. It was so good. 5 stars. I'm not sure how to classify this, if this is Regency, romance, steampunk, paranormal, because it's got it all. It's got it all. And Alexa, who is a Soulless or PreNatural, she is fantastic. So in this world, everyone knows about werewolves and vampires and the supernatural. And PreNaturals are pretty rare. They're humans that are soulless. And when they touch supernatural, it reverts that supernatural back to human form. As long as they're touching. And Alexa is in her early 20s, but she's a spinster on the shelf, and she says she's quite happy about it. She has a very dry sense of humor that just really, really hits really well for me, and I really did enjoy it. The first chapter, when we meet her, she kills a vampire with her parasol and a tart. But to be fair, the vampire was trying to drink from her, which was very rude. So it's pretty hysterical. And in that we meet the love interest, Malcolm, I think it's how it's pronounced. Sorry, I'm really bad with that kind of stuff. He is the alpha werewolf of the London area. He's also in charge of Burr, which is a supernatural version of Scotland Yard or FBI. And she really wants to work with them because she's PreNatural and she's brilliant. She reads scientific journals. She keeps up on the latest stuff. Her father really researched supernaturals, and she has his library, and she's really interested in it. But she's an unwed woman in the 1800s, so unfortunately she doesn't get to do the cool things. I love the banter between her and the alpha werewolf, and there's like history there, and there's, they allude to the story of how they met with a hedgehog in the park, and I really want to know about that story because it sounds hilarious. So she's told not to investigate, which, please, honey, please. Of course she's going to look into it. And she gets caught up into it where the bad guy finds out she's PreNatural and they try to nab her. And during this time, there are some flirtation moments with her and the wolf. But he doesn't really do anything. At first I was confused until it's explained that female werewolves are so rare that they're the ones that do the courting. And the Malcolm basically instinctually sees Alexa as an alpha female, and I was like, yeah you do, and it's just really, really cute. And she, being brilliant and being PreNatural, she has a lot of self-confidence in one aspect of herself, but because she's not the typical beauty of the time, she doesn't think she has anything, like no man would be attracted to her. Well, the alpha werewolf very much is, and he doesn't get why people put her on the shelf. He thinks she's beautiful, very attractive. He loves that she's smart. But they, of course, classic romance thing, they aggravate each other in the beginning. And then they both get kidnapped by the bad guy, and he's let loose during the full moon, so he's fully changed, and he charges in and rips them apart for the most part. And I do really love the vampire best friend that she has. He's very flamboyant and very, he's really funny. This is a lot of humor in this, which I really enjoy. I really like that. And this is the first in the series. At the end of the series, her and the alpha werewolf get married, and the queen, the actual queen, comes by and offers Alexa a job. So it's like called the Shadow Council, I believe, and there is a vampire and a werewolf that sits on it and basically helps contain the supernaturals and finds harmony. And there's this third seat that has been left open, and it's for Soulless or PreNatural. They're kind of the tiebreakers. And the queen was like, well, I couldn't give you the job when you were unmarried, but now that you're married, let's do the job. And she kind of shows up before she marries the wolf. And she's like, oh, he doesn't really want me. And she's like, oh, honey, he's wanted you since you hit him. I think she said, since you hit him in the giblets with the hedgehog. And I was like, I want that story. What happened? That sounds hilarious. So it ends on a cliffhanger where I'm assuming the second book picks up, where there's another mystery afoot. They're married. He's still head of Burr. She's on the Shadow Council. And then boom, the second book happens. And I really, really want to read it. I'm really enjoying this. It's got me in the mood for steampunk. So I actually downloaded another steampunk story for next week's because I want it. I want it. It's simple as that. And then I got Elisa Kleypas. I told you I was going to run through her old catalog, and I am. Because You're Mine. This, again, is a 5-star. See, I told you this week was really great. I really appreciate y'all books coming in hard with the goodness. I like it. Thank you. So this is a second in the theater trilogy of hers. I didn't read the first one. And I didn't feel lost, which I really, really appreciate. You know, this is a new couple. I didn't feel lost. I had no problem picking up the storyline. I believe the Duke and Duchess were the first book. So they do make an appearance. You kind of, I guess if you read the first one, you kind of see where they let off and everything like that, which is fun, which is cute. So this follows Logan, who is half owner of the theater and a superstar actor. And Maddie, who is a pretty innocent girl. So when we find Maddie, she's talking to her betrothed that her parents picked out for her, which is unfortunately not unusual for the time. Sorry, I shifted the camera a little bit. She's 18, and he's older than her father, so middle-aged. And they do a really good job of you just hating this guy right off the bat. She kind of describes him in a grotesque way. Basically, she knows the moment she marries him, she's not going to have a voice. She's going to be shipped off to the country and basically used as a brood mare. And she's not happy about it. She wanted more out of life. And he makes a comment, which skews me out. Because apparently he's been waiting for her since she was 16. Like, he had his eye on her since she was 16. Dude, skeezy, get out of here. Off. Just die. Whatever. Go. So that's pretty gross. So, she's the youngest of 3 sisters, and 2 of her older sisters are already married and everything. So she decides, you know what? He's a politician. He can't have scandal. So I'm going to go find someone to ruin my reputation, to give up my virginity, and then he won't want me, and I'm free, baby. Yeah. So that's her plan. And there's something about her plan, something about how Maddie's written, that you're just like, okay, sweetheart, let's do this. I'm with you. This is a weird plan, but let's do this. So she goes back to her dorm room, and her roommate and her friends are like hooing and awing over this poster. And the poster, of course, is Logan. And she just like, that's him. That's who I'm going to give my virginity to. He's going to ruin my reputation. He's the one. Again, there's just something pretty adorable about it. And I do enjoy a historical romance where the woman is the pursuer sometimes, because it's fun to spice things up like that, you know? So she goes to the theater under her assumed name, and she meets him right away, and she's like, hey, I want to have sex with you. And he's just like, no. He seems really confused. And as we look at on Logan, he's pretty consistent in his trust issues, and he just sleeps with like married women because that's what he wants. He's not gonna mess with an innocent, marryable girl. Like, something's up. He doesn't trust her. No. Which is fair. So she gets a job as the Duchess's assistant, and she's working in theater, and she finds that she really loves working in theater, and she works hard. Like, she's scrubbing floors, she's up on the catwalk over the theater, you know, hammering things. Like, I really, really like that she wasn't a spoiled little princess. She's like, you know what, sleeves up, motor grease, let's go. And she enjoyed herself. She really liked it. And, you know, of course, there's tension between her and Logan, and they get closer and things like that. He gets really sick, almost dies sick, and she takes care of him without thinking of herself. She's just there for him because she's fallen for him. And, you know, from his POV, he's fallen for her too. He just, you know, he hasn't said anything because, again, he doesn't know what she's, you know, obviously a lady of title and everything like that. And, oh, I almost forgot one of my favorite parts. Maddie's landlord is an aged, retired actress who is completely there for Maddie's plan and is like, girl, I will help you hook up with him. Let's do this. Like, she cracked me up. I really, really enjoyed her. So back to what I was talking about. Sorry about that. So she is nursing, she nursed Logan back to health, and he's like, you know, I can't fight my emotions anymore. I do love you. And, you know, they spend a night together, I think a couple times. And Maddie, when she was helping him when he was sick, she started feeling guilty about her plan. Because her plan was just to use him, but then she fell in love with him. And she feels really bad. She doesn't want to use him. But when Logan's like, yeah, let's do this, she kind of gets swept away, and, you know, she completes her plan. And by this point, I was just like, why doesn't Maddie just stay at the theater? She's under assumed name. She ran away. I really doubt her family's going to find her. And then that morning, her dad shows up. I still don't know how he knew to show up at Logan's mansion, because the roommate, after a long time, finally gave up what Maddie's plan was. So I could understand the father going to the theater, but going to Logan's place, I don't know, maybe I missed that. I'm not sure how that happened, but he shows up and the father reveals the plan of his silly little girl. And he's like, oh, I caught it in time. And Logan's pissed. And he's like, no, you didn't. Normally I'll be like, oh, why is he so angry about whatever? But this whole book, we have seen Logan being dramatic, being closed off, and having a huge trust issue. So when she basically lied to him, I get why he was like, oh my gosh, I'm furious. Like, it made sense in the sphere of the character that we've seen so far. So I'm not mad at that. As long as it's, you know, in the sphere of what we already seen, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. So that's what happened. She feels guilty. Her father takes her away. She gets away from the old gross guy that wanted to marry her. So score on that. But she feels super guilty. And then it turns out she's pregnant. And she wants to tell Logan, to be fair, but she is completely prepared to just raise the baby herself. And I think the retired actress kind of gave her that courage, because the retired actress had a bastard daughter by herself. And she loved her and everything was gay. Sorry, I shook the camera again. Maybe let me just... There you go. Okay. That's probably better. Hopefully I won't keep kicking it. Sorry about that. But the landlady turns out to be Logan's biological grandmother. Because Logan was raised in this family that thought was his biological family. But it turns out they weren't. And they were really abusive, where his trust issues come from. And the Earl, I think it was an Earl's land that he lived on, he hated his guts. He still hates his guts as an adult. That turns out to be his father. So the actress turns out to be his mother's mother. So she comes and is like, hey, Logan, you're an idiot. And here's why you're an idiot. By the way, you're my grandson. Merry Christmas. I mean, not Merry Christmas, but, you know. So he goes and basically goes to the family, is like, I know you don't want me in your family because I'm an actor. Even though he seems like he's wealthier than everybody, because he has like gold plates and all this kind of over dramatic stuff, which is, I don't know, it kind of fit. I was like, all right, I'm digging it. Go for it. So they don't want him because he's an actor and you know, but she's pregnant. So he's like, no, I will be back this weekend and we will get married because she's pregnant with my child. He goes and confronts his biological father, who is a huge asshat, like seriously. And the father basically blamed Logan for the mother's death because she died in childbirth because he was a big baby. Because he was not a big baby, wham, but like a large infant. Okay. So what happens next? I was like, I wish there was a little bit more explanation in that his motives, but Logan's like, oh, I'm still angry at her. I can't trust her, and and Maddie's like, oh, I feel so bad. What happened? I have to make it up to him. So they have like a healthy sexual marriage, but there's still emotional distance, and Maddie's trying to be really understanding and sweet because she is sweet. Finally, she loses her temper and is like, screw you, buddy, I'm leaving. And that's when he's like, oh no, I have forgiven you. It's just I'm keeping you at emotional distance because when I lost you once, he went into a really bad depression when they first separated. He's like, if I lose you again, it'll happen. And she's like, why will you lose me? It's like, because my mother died in childbirth, so you might too. And I was like, what? I would have liked a little more explanation, at least in his POV. That was one of the motives for keeping her apart, because so far we just thought it was because of his issues, which is fine. He has trust issues. That's established. That's cool. I'm digging it. But that kind of came out of like, oh, okay, that too. All right. I mean, sure. Could have been cool if you mentioned it more than once, but all right. And she's, no, I'll be fine. Spoiler, she is fine after she gives birth. She's fine. So after that, it's a happy ending. But like I said, this is a 5-star. I really liked it. And I know I'm reading Lisa Kleypas. I'm going to be reading Lisa Kleypas a lot here. And it's not going to be in order. Because I'm going to read whatever my used bookstore has. So, and I didn't read a lot this week. Sorry about that. But I have a couple more books lined up for next week. So I hope you had a good time. I hope it was comprehensive and I didn't bore you guys. I think I'm going to go make myself a cup of coffee because I am beat. I'm so tired. Well, I have to get back to the real world. So don't want to, but I have to get back to the real world. So I'll see you later. Bye, guys.